Hello there, friendly neighbors, and welcome back to my channel. For this week's video, I just kind of wanted to do something simple and easy. Personally, I really like watching meal prep, meal planning sort of videos, and if I'm not filming the kinds of videos that I would like to watch, what's the point in me filming videos at all? You know? Also, if any of you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen the post I made a couple days ago. My dog, unfortunately, was put down. So, obviously that's something that's a little rough for me to deal with. So I wanted to just film something sort of simple this week because I am spending a lot of time being sad. So, yes, I'm going to stop talking about this now because I don't really know what else I have to say. So before I ramble too much, I think it's really important that I just get the jazz going. Beautiful. And let's just go a little bit through my meal plan so you guys sort of understand what I am prepping for today and you're not completely lost with why I'm throwing a bunch of meat into my sink. This is sort of the meal plan that my goal to get on is. I do eventually want to add green-lipped mussel in there, but for now we're just kind of focusing towards what you guys are seeing on the screen right now. So as you guys can see, I do feed a mix of whole prey grinds and frankenprey. I like to feed grinds because they are super convenient and really easy to just de-thaw, portion, and then feed your ferret. But I do want to feed them frankenprey as well because it's really good for their teeth to be chewing on bones because it scrapes the plaque off. And if I want to feed them bones, I then have to balance it by giving them organ and muscle meat as well. So that's why it's a little more complicated looking. Just wanted to explain that a little bit for anyone who isn't familiar with raw feeding. So anyway, like I said, this is the goal for what I eventually want to be at with my ferrets, but it's sort of slow going with switching what your ferrets are eating. Anyone who's a raw feeder understands that. So because of that, right now their feeding schedule looks a little more like this. You'll notice that the meals where I want to be feeding them bone-in are actually bone-in mixed with chicken grind, and that's just because if I give it to them with their grind, they then understand that it's food and they're going to be more willing to eat it than if I just gave them a bunch of neck, because they would be like, what is this? I don't know how to eat this, Mom. I don't know what that is. And the same goes for my organ soups then. Those are also fed with chicken. Now, technically, according to this schedule, I am only actually feeding 2 bone-in meals, so I don't actually need to be feeding an organ meal, but I do want to feed them one just so they get used to the taste, and that's why I'm only giving them 1 ounce of organ for every 2 ounces of chicken, just because then it's a little tiny amount. I've been feeding them this way for the last couple of weeks, and the big thing to look out for when you're doing this is to just check the consistency of their poops and make sure that they're still relatively firm and not too liquidy, and so long as you are somewhere around that 80-10-10 ratio, you're going to be good. Yes, and you will also notice that my trout meals, instead of eating 1 meal of just fish, I do give them 2 meals of half trout, half duck, and that's because they are much more receptive of the trout when it is mixed with duck. I do feed egg yolk once a week, and that's just because it's really good for them, gives them lots of vitamins and omegas, and it also helps with shedding. During shedding season, I normally feed twice a week, but my ferrets are almost done shedding, so I'm going to shift it to once a week and see if that's okay, and if not, I will give it back to them twice a week. So what's important with raw feeding is just to be giving them a lot of variety. Really, a minimum of 4 proteins is what you want to be giving. I very clearly give them more than that because in my experience, the more different types of proteins I am feeding them, the more receptive they are of different kinds of food because they're not getting attached to a certain thing. And I also just find it really fun to feed them different things because then they get different preferences and everything. So all 4 of my ferrets eat about 7 ounces of meat per day. They generally eat 3 in the morning and then 4 in the evening. I don't know why some ferrets just do that where they eat more for 1 meal. So now that I've done explaining that, and maybe some of you guys were like, this video is boring, goodbye, I don't want to hear her talk about meat. Well, I'm sorry, the entire video is me talking about meat, so it's probably good that you left. I'm like sassy today. So the first thing that I always do before I even go into my freezer and touch any of my meat and do anything is I look over this chart, make any adjustments that I need to based on what I saw the previous week. I haven't really had to adjust anything recently because they're staying pretty consistent with what they want to eat. And then I will do my math to figure out how much meat I need to defrost. Lucky for you guys, I'm not going to be doing any math on camera today because it would be very boring and it would just be me sitting here counting my fingers because that's how I count. When you're an adult, you count on your fingers still. That's how it is. But this is sort of what my math looks like for how much I need to be feeding. As you can see, I just break it down by what I need to portion, and then I take that and see how many ounces of meat that is. And the meat that I feed, which I'll pull out here in a second, it does come in little 8-ounce pucks. So I know that each puck is 8 ounces, and I just do my math according to that, and that tells me how much I need to defrost. I said that weird. I hope you guys can follow. That's over with now. You know what I'm doing. I think it's time for us to get to it. Let's do it to him, and I will pull that meat out of the freezer, and we'll be back shortly. So I mentioned it in my other videos, I feed my ferrets whole prey grinds. So the brand that I feed is Carnivora because it is very, very easy for me to buy where I live in Canada. They sell it at almost every store. In fact, they sell it where I work, so I get a discount on it. Loves me that discount. So let's get to it. These are the patties that I was talking about. So they're really convenient. Just an 8-ounce patty, and I can just throw it in a bag. Wow, truly riveting. Rabbit, pork, trout. Where's my turkey? Oh, right here, right in front of me. Classic. Now that that's done with, I'm gonna seal up all these bags, and I have filled my sink with cold water, and I will just put all these bags of grinds into the cold water. This is one of the safest ways to de-thaw your meat. You shouldn't be leaving it on the counter to de-thaw because it can get to a dangerous temperature. And actually, it will de-thaw faster in cold water than it will on the counter anyway. So just do it that way. That's all I'm gonna say. All right, now I have to go put all these back in the freezer, and I have to kind of Tetris my way through that. Please don't fall. Now that we've got that over with, I need to focus on my bone-in and my organ soup. So the bone-in that I feed right now is chicken necks because they're easy for me to find. I will eventually be incorporating different kinds of bone-in, but I just want to start them off on one different kind. So over the course of the next 2 weeks, they are going to be eating 7 ounces of chicken necks. So I just need to weigh that out, get that in a bag, and throw that in the sink. Nope, I was wrong. 14 ounces. I'm portioning for 2 weeks this time. I have my handy dandy kitchen scale right here. My kitchen scale gets a lot of use. I'm just putting this Tupperware container on top of it so that I can use that to hold my meats. And my glove again. That's exactly 14 ounces. That has literally never happened to me. I'm very excited right now. The organ soup that I make is a mix of heart and organ. Some people prefer to feed one meal of heart and then another one of just organ. I like to just mix it all together. I think it makes it easier. So for this ratio, it needs to be 2 parts heart, 1 part liver, and then 1 part other secreting organ. Now for the sake of this time, I am using chicken liver, beef heart, and beef kidney. These are just what were immediately available to me. I prefer to make soup all in one big batch as opposed to making it every time that I'm portioning. So I'm just gonna be weighing this and I'll see how much I can make. It really depends on how much organ I have. So here's all my liver. I did pre-portion it for when I was just transitioning my ferrets onto soup. So it looks like I have 11 ounces of liver, okay, 10 ounces of kidney, I have 19.5 ounces of heart. I should be able to make around 40 ounces of soup then, which will last me a super long time, which is great. So if I do 19.4 ounces of heart, which is all the heart that I have, and then I put in 9.4 ounces of liver and kidney, and I blend that all up together into a nice organ-y goodness, that will give me the maximum amount of organ soup that I can make. And now all I have to do is just wait a couple of hours for everything that I just threw into the sink to de-thaw. And here is my lovely sink full of meat. I sometimes put plates on them if they don't seem like they're gonna sink fully, because you can see this is sort of sticking up and it bothers me. So get into the water, because there's air in the bag. So now that that's done, although nothing really touched my counter, I still do like to disinfect it, just in case, because when you are feeding raw, you do have to be really careful. Just like you would if you were cooking chicken for yourself. You're not gonna like chop it on the counter and then just not clean up. That's dumb. That's how you get sick. While everything's de-thawing in the sink, that's when I come and I label all of the containers that I'm going to be using for my portioning. So I have 2 different sizes of containers. I have these ones which hold 8 ounces, and then I have these little ones which hold 3 ounces. I put all of their grinds and bone-in meat into these ones, and then I put the organ soups into the little ones. And I will need to store all of the extra organ soup because I am making a pretty substantial batch of it. So I just grab my handy dandy laptop here, which has my meal plan on it, and I just label everything. And, you know, organization is key here. I have done it, I think. I normally go and recount all of my lids just to make sure, because sometimes I accidentally wrong. So there's supposed to be 28 in here. Haha, 28, I was right. So really now it's just a matter of waiting for everything to de-thaw. I'm gonna just sit tight. I watched a full season of Avatar: The Last Airbender yesterday because I was sad. So I'm probably just gonna watch a couple episodes of Avatar. I just got to season 2. Loves me some Toph. I have returned. It has been an hour and a half since I put my meat into the sink and it is almost completely defrosted. I do like to keep it a little frozen still just because I can still cut it when it's frozen, so I may as well. The only thing that's still a little too frozen is the chunks of heart, but that's okay because I put the other organs back in the fridge so that they will stay cool, and we can just do the soup last, and hopefully by then the heart has de-thawed a little bit. I also do have my handy dandy phone set up once again. Just like last time, it is precariously balanced on top of my tomato cage because I have no other way to balance it. I know that I can just get a tripod for my phone, but I like doing it this way. I think it says a lot about who I am as a person. Anyway, so let's just get started. I normally start off with portioning just the proteins that are just going by themselves, so none of the chicken or anything that I'm mixing with other stuff. So I do have 2 bags of pork because I have this 1 bag left over from the last time I portioned, because I didn't use all of it. But I just need to get 3 ounces of pork in each container. And the beauty of wearing gloves is that I can just manhandle it. So that is 2.8. 3.1, close enough. And I do keep the garbage can right next to me so that I can throw these bags away. And then I throw a lid on it right away so I don't forget what it is. And then we kind of just repeat this process with everything. Those are all of our porks. Ugh, get that nasty smell away from me. Okay, next up is turkey. Now for the turkey grinds, I feed 4 ounces at a time. And what's convenient is I know for a fact that these are about 8 ounces each, so I can just cut it in half and I don't need to weigh a turkey. And just like that, turkey is done. It is by far the easiest one. And rabbit has the same story to it. I feed rabbit twice a week, whereas turkey I just feed it once a week. So because I'm portioning for 2 weeks, I have to portion 2 of them. Okay, so now we're moving on to the duck and the trout. So that is one that I mix them together. So I'm gonna put 2 ounces of duck and 2 ounces of trout. The trout that I feed is steelhead trout. I thought it was gonna smell really bad when I first started feeding it, but it's actually not as bad as the pork. The pork is literally the worst smelling thing. I don't understand why. All right, so there's the trout and duck done. And now we are going to move on to the slightly more complicated one, which is our chicken. So the chicken we feed with both neck and soup. So these are all the ones for soup, and these are for neck. So just like with the rabbit, duck, and trout, the 2 ounce ones are easy. All right, and then the 1.5 ounces we do have to weigh because I can't just eyeball 1.5 ounces like I can for the other ones. So we've got 4 containers with 2 ounces of chicken and 4 with just 1 ounce. The rest of this chicken I will use with the soup, which I'll portion in a second. Now the necks sometimes don't fully de-thaw, and that's okay because it's actually easier to cut through them when they are still a little bit frozen. All right, so now I need to throw these back on the scale because I need to make sure that I'm putting 2 ounces in each. so hard to cut through. Okay. Alright, so sweet. That's pretty much exactly 2 ounces. Alright, so now I just need to get these ones all up to 3 ounces. Now all we have to do is make some of our organ soup. I have my handy dandy blender set up right here, and it's really, really ready to go. Grab this bad boy right away. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut this heart up to make sure it's really nice and diced, just to be nice to my blender. So, all my heart in there. Now what's really nice and great about liver is that I have to take them out of individual bags because I foolishly had portioned them even though I didn't need to, which is now a huge waste of plastic and my time, so, you know, I'm regretting it. I'm regretting my decisions. Get that in there. I did my math correctly. Lovely. What? I'm supposed to have 2 of these. Where did my other bag of kidney go? I left it in the fridge. We're good. Oh, actually, okay, there's a few bigger pieces of kidney in here that I do want to cut up because I just want to be nice to my blender. I'm not going to blend all of this up because I think that's just going to end really poorly. I'm going to blend up some of it and then I'll add more and then I'll blend up some of that and I'll add more. And it's just going to be a lot better for me and my blender because my blender does not really love me very much on account of all the terrible things I've done to it over the years. Off with the glove, once and for all. Now I am going to be adding some water to this. I kind of just eyeball it. All right. Now, Bryn and Libby, I know you're watching, okay? And if my blender sets fire for the 3rd time, you're not allowed to make fun of me. My dog just died. I will pull that card if you make fun of me for this one. I really hope this works. Hello? It worked. Oh yeah, so that's pretty well blended. I think that was the hardest part for it because it was the heart, which is going to be harder for it to blend up. So I'm just going to add in a little bit more and we're just going to do it bit by bit. Well, that went surprisingly better than last time. I'm going to go ahead and add a little more. It does smell a little bit like burning plastic, which is a bit concerning for me. But I'm just gonna ignore that and we're gonna just keep going with our lives here. So now it smells a lot like burning smoke, but once again, we're just gonna keep moving past that and pretend we don't smell it. I'm just gonna turn this on. Bear with the noise, I'm sorry. Oh, there's smoke. It's fine. It's fine. So, I had a bit of smoke coming out of my blender, but it's okay. Now I'm just gonna use a ladle, and I'm gonna ladle this beautiful tomatoey looking goodness into these containers. Wonderful. My kitchen smells like burning plastic, real badly, just an update. Now I'm just gonna portion 2 ounces into each of these little containers so that I can freeze these, and then next time I'm portioning, I just pull one out because they eat 2 ounces a week. Excuse me while I dirty every single dish I own. So here's all my organ soup. I need to clean my counter. I also definitely got some on the floor. So here we have it. Here is everything that we portioned today. Everything in the larger containers is what my ferrets are going to be eating over the next 2 weeks. And then we also have all of this organ soup, which I will put to good use over the next couple of months, and I don't have to worry about making it again. Now the last thing that I have to do is just clean absolutely everything. I will do my dishes later, but I've got to focus on this first. And I will just do my outro while I clean, I guess, because I think that sort of makes sense. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I don't know how entertaining it's going to be for everyone, but like I said, I like watching meal prep, so I'm just going to film the kind of videos that I like to watch because that makes sense to me. If any of you guys are curious about raw feeding or any more information on that, please go check out Bryn's channel. Make sure to like and comment on this video and subscribe to my channel, because if you do all of those things, you too can become a citizen of the friendly neighborhood. I will see you guys next week for another video where I am in my kitchen again. What am I going to be doing though? Only I know. Bye friends! Time to struggle. Oh my god, it fits. Beautiful. Oh no. Oh no.